Hey, everybody. Well, so far, just me. Just going to wait a few moments, see who pops in with us. And while we're waiting, I'll just say that I was shocked that I've got 14 episodes in already. Oh, let me go to the chat here so I can see who comes in too. Hey, Remy Q, how's it going? Joe, has some chores to do before the wife comes home. Okay, not a problem. If you need it, Joe, I can vouch for you. You tell your wife that you're helping me out. I'll vouch for you. We'll be good. Hey, Brian. Brian just wrapped up his Breakfast with Brian. Uh, one of the live shows I tune into whenever possible. I've been watching him, I think, pretty much every Saturday. Studios loves the new logo. Cool, thank you. Hey, Neil again. Neil made a delicious looking breakfast, I have to say. I wasn't going to eat before the live stream, and then after seeing Neil's breakfast, I had to grab a little something. All right, well, let's go ahead and start. Thanks everybody for joining my live stream. It's your good buddy Philtastic Phil here. Welcome back to last week today live. Excuse me. Again, live show where we just talk about basically things that have gone on in the comic and comic book industry just for the past week. Just some random topics I picked. Hey Jacob, thanks for joining us. Main event, nice to see you. Sorry, I'm fueling up. So it's going to be wheels off here, coming in wheels hot, I should say. Um, So why don't I do this? I'm going to, yeah, let's just start with some random kind of news stuff today. Um, the kind of main topic I had posted, at least for this stream, DCU. What's been going on with the DCU this week? First and foremost, the Black Adam trailer dropped. Has everybody seen that yet? I'm not going to replay it here, partly because I don't know how to, and partly because I know that Warner Brothers tends to be a little trigger happy when it comes to copyright. Yes, Neil, thank you. Oh, hey, J80, thank you. Hello. Yeah, and thanks for everybody who's popped over from Brian's live stream as well. And you know what? I don't know if I've done this publicly, but I should give a big shout out to Brian too, because I had no idea what StreamYard was really before talking to Brian a little bit. Um, I was aware of it, but this makes things a lot easier for me. I'm still kind of figuring things out clearly, but thanks, Brian, and huge shout out. I think everybody here already follows Brian, but if not, if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and check out Brian LCS. Hey, Cup of Comics. I love his intros, by the way. If you've ever seen Cup of Comics, comic fan. I can't do the voice, but so we're just starting to talk about the Black Adam trailer. Now I'll start by saying this: I'm not a huge DC guy myself. I, you know, collect Batman. I used to up until recently. I've dabbled in and out of Superman, Wonder Woman, all the biggies. I was following Green Lantern during the Jeff Johns era, and just kind of go in and out of some lesser known titles, I guess. Neil, very funny. Black Adam is a character that I have really liked. He first kind of caught on for me during, I think it was during Final Crisis, or no, I'm sorry, during Countdown, when they had World War III. And the story itself of World War III was, I think, a little forgettable, but you got to really kind of understand that Black Adam, at least in my mind, he's one of those unique characters, kind of like Doom, where in his mind and in his country's mind, he could do no wrong. He's not a bad guy. He's a hero, and the problem is everybody else. And I really kind of liked that kind of edge to him. The trailer itself, for me, again, just judging the trailer, makes me a little, I have a little bit of concerns. To be honest with you, it kind of comes off to me like, all right, we're kind of making Iron Man with Superman powers. Um, the levity in it, I feel like doesn't really match the tone of the character. Look, I'm cautiously optimistic. I try not to judge anything until the film comes out, and we've got some time. It's not coming out till October, I believe. But I'm kind of curious to see how this fits into the bigger picture. Because one thing I will say is, after watching The Rock flying around and everything in here, I remember a couple years ago they had said that they wanted to do the sequel to Man of Steel. They wanted to do Superman versus Black Adam, and at the time I was kind of like, eh. But after seeing this, yeah, that is a movie I would pay to see. Uh, Henry Cavill versus The Rock. I think that'd be awesome. Now, my question is, how's this going to fit into the bigger DC film universe, if they're still even doing a film universe? Because the last I had heard, they were trying to work against that, kind of decentralize that. But now you have a new regime coming in. We saw some shakeups last week. We talked about it. I won't rehash that, but now I saw something. I think it was on comicbooknews.com. If anybody else has seen this article, chime in. That Walter Hamada, who's the guy that Cyborg doesn't care for, we'll put that lightly, is no longer in charge of anything with DC films at all. So we're beginning to see again that slow kind of regime change. You've got Black Adam's in the books already, Flash and Aquaman 2, or if they're not done, they're in the stages of completion. I don't know what the technical terms are. And you also have the Shazam sequel, which I think is kind of right in there with the Flash and whatnot as far as completion. I could be wrong again. So we're not going to see the effects, I think, at least, of this kind of transition of power for a while. I mean, I suppose it's not unheard of if they want to just kind of put something on. Yeah, I mean, Main Event, I'm the same way. I've been waiting on HBO Max, not necessarily just because of the characters, but I've said it before. I'm concerned, like everybody else is, of course, about the virus. The numbers are still prevalent. I think they're actually going up in my area. I'm in North Jersey. I have a 3-month-old. We've cut out a lot of things, going to the movies, going to comedy shows, just kind of going out to like a restaurant and relaxing. And I've been in our household, I've been the one going out, getting all the groceries, doing any kind of shopping. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for stopping in. Hope I didn't get you in trouble, but like I said, if you want, I can talk to Mrs. Joe, say he's okay. He was helping me out. Joe, by the way, Anachronic Comics. I have to ask him how he got that name, by the way. That's always interests me. If you want to see a really good show, he produces content regularly. He's mostly kind of a DC heavy guy, but very interesting take. I love how he describes some of the cover art, whatnot, just a side note. Anachronic Comics, go ahead and check him out. Sub him if not already. I think pretty much everybody here is, but if not, check him out. But yeah, I mean, I've been waiting at home for everything, even the Disney films. I'll say this: I didn't see Spider-Man No Way Home until last night. We finally kind of broke down and said, look, we want to watch Ms. Marvel. I don't know if there's anything that connects the two. Let's watch it. And same thing with Doctor Strange. We're not going to watch that until next week when it's on Disney Plus, or is it next week or the week after? My point is, I'm not rushing to the theaters anywhere. I get that, and it has become a little bit of an artwork to an art, I should say, to avoid spoilers, especially with Doctor Strange. I think more than anything, but I feel like Marvel was kind of more spoiling that than everybody with the after credits cameo, which I saw in the Marvel social media, but didn't hear from anybody else. Anyway, speaking of the films division too, we saw the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case wrapped up a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. There's now, despite outcry, it seems that there's reports of people who have said now Amber Heard's role in test screenings has doubled. Apparently, purportedly during the trial, she had said that it was only cut down to like 10 minutes. Yeah, same Man event. And I'll be honest with you, I've actually unfollowed Instagram pages or even Facebook groups where the moderator just spoils it. Even like, I think I noted comicbooknews.com. And again, I'm thinking, so I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I think it was comicbooknews.com. I think I stopped unfollowing them just because they spoiled, they started to spoil one of the big scenes in Doctor Strange, which I kind of heard a little bit about already, but with some of the cameos, we'll say that. And I was like, look, at that point, I don't think it had even been out for a week. I don't want to be spoiled. Just let me get out of it, you know? Excuse me. So I was saying, with the trial wrapping up, during the trial, I think Amber Heard had said on the stand, her role, excuse me, was reduced to less than 10 minutes. Now, I think I would put up with that. Up to you. Now, there's reports in test screenings that her time has actually been beefed up a lot. I had heard a little report about why, and I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, so I'm not going to say it, but it does sound like it's something that can be integral to the story. But and then on the other side of the coin too, you've got Ezra Miller, who's been in a lot of trouble lately, apparently beating up people, trying to make up NFTs of being beat up. There's something now, he was grooming a minor, or the parents at least accused him of grooming a minor for who knows what. And Warner Brothers reportedly has an issue where they can't replace him because, number one, The Flash has been filmed almost in its entirety. You know, if they wanted to cut him out at this juncture, they'd basically have to film a whole new movie, and it would be double whatever the cost is. But apparently he also has multiple roles in that movie. He's playing multiple Flashes. So, again, you'd be starting from zero. So my question to you guys is, and you know, even if this is something that doesn't hit you now, if you want to go back later and put it in the comments, especially if you're watching this on a repeat or something, or recorded, how much does an actor's going on in real life actually affect if you want to see a film or not? I mean, I'll be honest with you, in this particular case, with both The Flash and with Aquaman, I was going to wait, just like was said earlier, I'm just going to wait for HBO Max. Aquaman I waited for. Granted, I'm not a big Aquaman fan at all. I thought it was just okay. Just my opinion. If you liked it, great. If not, whatever. So that wasn't necessarily something I was running to see in the first place. Amber Heard's involvement, whether she's there 10 minutes or 20 minutes, is not going to really affect if I want to see the film. And again, that's just in my opinion. With The Flash, Flash is never a character that appealed to me. Again, I intended to at least check it out on HBO Max. But with the goings on with, you know, if actors acting crazy or doing some things that are, you know, less than socially acceptable, we'll say, does that affect your want or your desire to see a film? I mean, I'll be honest with you. In the past, there's only one actor whose work I shouldn't say refuse, but I do what I can do to say I'm not going to see that film, just because of some of the stances that actor's taken. And I think it's in a kind of an extreme position. I'm not going to go into that here, but it is somebody who was in a comic book film that I have seen multiple times, just because it's always on. And it's not a political thing either. I think it goes a little bit further than that. I think that you have to be able to separate the role and the actor's beliefs or whatnot. No one is perfect. We're all human. Why should her career suffer? I understand. I agree with you. Some people feel differently. I mean, the only exception would be if like an example with there was a film out a couple of years ago. I think it was called All the Money in the World, and Kevin Spacey was initially supposed to play. I think it was a film about the Getty kidnappings. He was supposed to play the patriarch, the father. And at the time, some pretty serious allegations had come out with him and some minors. And the movie company, I forgot who it was, wound up actually refilming and recasting him and refilming all those scenes that he was in a short amount of time. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know how it suffered, if it suffered. But I could kind of get that, you know, when you're going against, you know, anything involving kids, especially. Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch it. That's just me. But remember, on the other side of the coin too, 25, 30 years ago, Robert Downey Jr., perfect example. A lot of issues with drugs and whatnot. He served some time in jail, and now turn around to 2008, he's Iron Man, and you know, pretty much ushers in this kind of Marvel age of superhero films. It fixes nothing, in my opinion. Actors don't make decisions that affect our lives like politicians and people like that. They should not lose their jobs over public opinion of their personal lives. I agree. And I think that it's kind of a byproduct of the culture that we're in now. Hopefully, that we're kind of getting out of now. That's at least my sense, this kind of cancel culture. And cancel culture, by the way, I know that people have been throwing that around lately. It's something I've been aware of for a long time because I saw it with comedy up to about 10 years ago. How many comedians were canceled over jokes that they told on stage? You know, you take any joke on stage that's told in a comedy club and you remove the comedy club factor, you put that up on a world stage, and you lose all meaning behind it. You know, you lose the detail. I can't think of the exact word I want to use, but you get what I mean. And a couple comedians really suffered because of that. I'm kind of hoping with the as a byproduct of this Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial that people kind of start pulling away from cancel culture. Again, that's the sense I have at least now. But you know, again, to answer my own question, yeah, I'm still going to watch Flash. I'm still going to watch Aquaman. I'm going to probably watch it on HBO Max. And I think by the time Aquaman comes out, to be honest with you, I don't think people are going to care if Amber Heard's in the movie 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Just me. Excuse me. Yeah, main event. I think so too. And you know, whenever I hear an online petition, my first thought is, okay, at least 1.5 million of those, and I'm being generous in my number, are bots. I mean, robots and online bots are everywhere, from trying to buy tickets to events. I look, even on my little Ricky Dinky YouTube channel here, you know how many times I see like these Russian bots? It's been okay lately. Watch, I'll just be littered with it now. We just see comments, go to this website, go to this website. And YouTube, I'll say this, is very good about eliminating those quick. You know, I kind of got a little nervous going up to when I was hovering around 100 subscribers, because in one day I saw like a 12 subscriber drop. And I realized that YouTube eliminated those because those were all fake accounts. So great. Biggest part of them are Johnny Depp fans. Could be. Nobody knows. You know what it is, J80? In my opinion, to be honest with you, to be offended to the point where like this person should lose their job, and I'm going to go complain about this. To me, again, in my opinion, is one of the most narcissistic things that you could be. And I always look. I have a lot of younger siblings. I'm 43. My youngest sibling is 21. Last weekend, we went to a party at one of my half-sister's house, and I was talking to her husband, another sister's husband. They had started talking about Columbus Day. Now, I'm an Italian American. I celebrate Columbus Day. I understand he may or may not be a controversial character. I'm the kind of person that you can't believe everything you hear, and I think there's a lot of literature and a lot of published work that kind of contradicts everything that you hear now on Facebook and YouTube and whatnot regarding Christopher Columbus. And my approach, and I explained this to my brother-in-law, I said, look, when I think about my 3-month-old, you know, because people are saying, well, is this the example we should be setting for our children? I said, no, you know what? I'm going to say to him, look, this is a guy who, Italian-American, helped discover America. Yes, the Vikings were here thousands of years or hundreds of years before, but, you know, what have you. But, you know, he really kind of kicked off this whole idea of immigration and colonization, for better or for worse. There's a lot of good things about him. There's a lot of bad things about him. But my point is that I look at it as an example that you could be a great person and not be pristine. And I think that we should all kind of approach history to that point, because, again, what was acceptable yesterday is not acceptable today. And what we do today is not going to be acceptable tomorrow. So now that I've kind of gone totally off of comics, I'm going to come back. Excuse me. Yeah, main event. I agree with you on Gina Carano. I think the only thing I could think of is that the only kind of thing I could say is, well, Disney warned her after like the second time. I think that if somebody warns you, you kind of have to step in and say, okay, well, all right, this is what my boss is telling me, so I'm going to be quiet. Look, I work for a big company, and there's things that they say and do that I don't necessarily agree with, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say, well, these are my ideals, and that's going to cost me my job, or I'm going to leave or get fired because of it. If it's something I really disagree with to the point of wanting to quit, that's a whole different story, but it's nothing like that. We'll say that. I was told why we get purge subs is because we are content creators and they thing creators subbing to creators is kind of false subbing, if you know what I'm saying. If they don't watch one of your videos and comment, they're like, oh, I don't know about that. I always assumed it was just kind of like Russian bots, but either way, I appreciate you tuning in and commenting and subbing, of course. Let's see, other comic book news. I'm trying to think, because that was kind of my big thing. Yeah, it's been kind of quiet, at least on my front there. Well, let's do this. If anything else comes to me, I'll bring it up. But I'm going to go into what I read this week. I didn't go to my LCS again, and I know that that's pretty kind of funny considering I'm running a contest called #LoveYourLCS. Speaking of which, yes, that's my 100 subscriber contest. It runs until the end of the month. There's been a lot of great video submissions in and a lot of great comments. Off of Neil, I think it was your suggestion, or maybe it was J80's. I apologize if it was neither of your suggestions, but I have created a playlist where you can watch everybody's video submission who's made them so far. There's about 5. And I encourage you to do so whether you've made a video yet or not. If you want to enter, time's running out. You have, again, until the end of the month. And I think I'm going to announce the winner live on our July 2nd stream, Saturday, July 2nd. I was thinking about holding it off maybe another week just because I don't know how many people are going to be on 4th of July weekend, but I don't know. We'll see. And I intend to put up a video at least some point during this week, just kind of reminding everybody, hey, this is the halfway point. You got to get your stuff done. Yep, there you go, Neil. It was a great idea, and it was something I hadn't thought of. I could tell you the latest submission was Tylox, and he had a really strong submission, too. Everybody's video submission has been great, I have to say. I'm really astounded continuously by some of the creativity and just passion that you see on people's channels, and it really shows in your videos. And look, I've kind of made it a point to, at least during the week or whenever I can, watch a lot of content out there. I take one day off a week from YouTube, usually Sundays, but I always jump in to tune on Reggie's live show, but that's another thing. But whenever I can find a new channel or new content, I jump on. And so if you guys have suggestions, I pretty much, I think, follow everybody who's in these comments now. If you ever have suggestions or if you have a new video coming out that you really want me to check out, let me know, because I'd love to see it. Neil, your videos are great. I love yours especially. Main Event comes to mind. I shouldn't probably name some because I'm going to forget somebody, then they're going to get pissed off. But yeah, I do watch as many videos as I can. So I was saying I didn't go to the LCS yet this week. I was going to go yesterday. We decided instead to go take a walk. It was just such a nice day. And then by that time, dad duty called. I might be going either later today or tomorrow. Again, hopefully before the next stream on Saturday, but we'll get that sorted out. I did go back, though, and I read a couple books I've been meaning to read. The first, I read The Sandman Universe Nightmare Country, issues #1. I think this is the standard cover. I could be wrong. Let's see. Oh, no, it is a variant. This is the Yannick Paquat and Nathan Fairbairn. I'm thinking, couple comics, you have a great one, too. Yeah, this is a very cool variant, by the way. Very creepy. And this is the Sorrentino variant for issue 2, which was really good. Oh, thanks, Main Event. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, buddy. Yeah, I'm loving these stories. Very creepy. Corinthian is definitely an interesting kind of character. The first issue, I'll be honest with you, was kind of slow. And I realized that it's because it was really kind of focused on this kind of secondary character in it. Second issue is definitely picking up some steam. I like this idea of these ghosts that not everybody can see. Um, I have kind of a similar story with those. We can't really talk about that on a live stream, at least, for other reasons. But yeah, if you're definitely looking for something creepy, go into that. And one of the things I have to say about the Sandman universe, I jumped into those early on. Yeah, it's part of the Sandman extended universe. It's based on the main character, I should say, is the Corinthian. I think he's from the second volume, if you've read the trade papers. The guy who's got the teeth in his eyes and everything. Definitely a good read. Yeah, the whole idea of the Sandman universe, I jumped on that, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago at this point, when the initial issues came out. And they were good, but not great. And then just my budget kind of exploded because X-Men. It all leads back to X-Men. So I jumped off of those. But I think when you say something, this is part of the Sandman universe, you might kind of set this high expectations. Hey, surfer, mahalo, all the way from Hawaii. You kind of set this high expectation, I think, to people who haven't read Sandman, that may actually prevent them from doing so. They might say, well, I haven't seen Sandman, or I haven't read Sandman. Why should I get into this? And first of all, if you haven't read Sandman and you're a comic fan, and I'm assuming that you're a comic fan if you're here, you got to check out Sandman. That's kind of like a mandatory read. In fact, that's one of those titles that I suggest to people who have never read comics. And I explain, look, the first volume is a little hard. After that, it gets much more interesting. And I'm hoping that with the Netflix series coming out in August, you're just going to see more people coming on. Yep. I went to Hawaii when I was 14, and that's one of the only things I remember is mahalo. Yeah, so I don't know if the title, well, I guess you guys tell me. If you see a book like this and it says Sandman Universe and you've never read Sandman, is that going to prevent you from picking up the title? Because in a case like this, I'll be honest with you, yes, it's got the Corinthian, but I don't see that obvious kind of Sandman connection, at least not yet. Again, we're only the second issue in, and it feels like it's a bit of a slow burn title. I assume that we'll see more after that. The other title I read, again, it was a light reading week for me. When I finally do go to my LCS, it's going to be a huge read week, as you can imagine. I've had this for a while. This is the only Bad Idea comic that I own. And that's partly, look, when I heard about the concept of Bad Idea, I was like, great, somebody's going to destabilize Diamond and whatnot. But they kind of, when I realized that really what they kind of do is make it for our LCS owners to be like jump through hoops just to get their books, given everything that's going on with the other distributors and everything else that the LCSs have to face. Kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass, not so much a bad idea. But regardless, I picked up this book because I really like one of the artists in this. And this is, I'll go closer. I think everybody pretty much knows this, but it's Whalesville and Rocks and Minerals. And I picked this up because of Adam Polina. I really liked Adam's work back in the day on X-Force. If you're unfamiliar, after the Age of Apocalypse was over and Marvel kind of used that as a springboard to say, okay, here's the next generation, I guess you could say, of X titles. I was one of those people who were all in at that point. I had started collecting every X title. And X-Force had Adam Polina on as an artist. He has a very unique style. To be honest with you, it was kind of, I remember thinking back and thinking like it almost looks like an older kind of almost Renaissance style of art. Like it looked like something to me that would be on like a stained glass mirror or window rather. If you have an opportunity to go back and check out those older X-Force titles to see what I mean, I would definitely do that. This one doesn't really kind of have that same effect for me, but it's still pretty good. I think you could probably get them on Marvel Unlimited, if not in a dollar bin. But the book itself, I thought I was a little disappointed. It's 2 stories. The first one, Whalesville, is okay. Basically, a boy gets swallowed by a whale. and you see there's this whole kind of little small society, a small town made up of different kind of sea creatures inside the whale, but the kid has to escape because his father is basically hunting the whale. Um, just I felt like just when it started to get interesting, it was like, all right, we got to end this. I felt kind of rushed in that effect. But again, the artwork was pretty good. It's definitely a different kind of style. Um, Rocks and Minerals, I hadn't heard about, and I realized why. I did not like Rocks and Minerals at all. It was literally a story about rocks. I mean, they kind of got a little interesting at one point because they're talking about like a post-apocalyptic, and everybody's, all the humans, all of us are gone, and now the rocks are alive somehow. Yeah, again, Whales I liked. Rocks and Minerals, I didn't. Literally, that was the most interesting part about the story. Was there's no more people, and these rocks are talking and somewhat sentient. Yeah, the whale was great. So like I said earlier, I didn't go to my LCS. I did have a couple dollar pickups. I'll show you. I follow a couple people on IG and do claim sales every now and then. One of whom, she's an artist out of Miami. If you follow me on Instagram, I showed a picture. I actually had her make on wood. I have hanging up actually in our hallway right now. That was my anniversary gift to my wife. What I do is I'll go usually about a month or two and just say claim, claim, claim. And I tell her, look, when the box is full, let me know. We'll settle up and go from there. Yeah, J80, I'll be honest with you, that's about as deep as the post-apocalyptic stuff that they get into it. Like, it's not something like you'd read like a Noctera or anything like that. Rocks and Minerals, I would proceed with caution. The whale story was good, not great. But as I was saying, I'll claim things for about a month or two, and then when it's full, I'll say, hey, look, bill me, pay her, sends it over. Very good shipping, and she packs them well. So I didn't show everything here in the dollar bin haul, but I did put aside just some goodies. I was going to make a big video out of this, so I shouldn't say a big video, recorded video, but I figured, look, I didn't have a pickup this week, so I might as well show some of these off. And I've already bagged and boarded these. They don't come bagged and boarded. And I'm going to give you an asterisk on this, too. These are dollar books. Some of them might be, you might say, oh, wow, you got that for $1. But, yeah, Neil Geiger was a great one. That's a good example of a post-apocalyptic book. So the quality or the condition of these books may not be great, but for $1, look, if you wanted to, you could have sort of, usually go clean them up or whatnot. And a lot of these, it's either titles that I collect or just some things that just sounded interesting to me. I'll actually show you a different book that was kind of interesting. I have a story on that I got from her. But the first one here this is from like a pre-Nightfall Batman, number 433, The Many Deaths of Batman. This is the John Byrne era. And really cool cover. That's the only reason I grabbed this. I'm not actively collecting Batman at the moment, but if there's a cool cover like that, I'll jump on that. Here's one. I hadn't even actually heard of this one. This was a Civil War II spinoff. I didn't like Civil War II at all. I don't know many people who have. This is called Gods of War, and this is a variant. And I do know during Civil War II, She-Hulk was pretty much in a coma, and you've got Hercules there now looking over her. So I thought that was interesting. And again, for $1, what are you going to do? Okay, this is one that I realized I had already, but it's just a cool cover I wanted to show off. This is the Warlord, number 58. And like I said, I really like this cover. The characters on different kind of poker cards. Very well done. And like I said, too, you could tell the condition's not great. Like there's a tear right here. Although this isn't something I personally would get graded or whatnot. I do have a CGC order on its way, by the way, finally. I'm going to do a video about that when it comes back. I did peek at what the grade is. I'm a little disappointed. I do want to do a little research on it, but we'll discuss that another time. This one, it's just such a cool cover. Manhunter number 1. Very 80s looking cover. Look at that. costume. He's got like these two oversized shoulder pad type of things. I know it's supposed to look like a Ronin or something, but it's just so ridiculous that you had to jump on it. And that's some Walt Simonson goodness there. This is one I grabbed and it's really damaged. I'm not going to show you how exactly. This is Marvel Tales, The Astonishing number 5. And the cover is just very shocking. You have Egghead, I think his name. Is it Egghead? Egghead, yes. Plays or keeps. Got the gun right against Ant-Man, who's passed out. That's a little overkill, I guess. The back of this, by the way, is just ripped in half. That back cover. Again, it's not something I get graded. It's not in the best condition, but it was a cool cover. Less than $1, you can't go wrong. Okay, this is one. It's interesting. At Wolverine number 158, which I think she threw in, to be honest with you, because I have a full run of the first volume of Wolverine. Actually, all the ongoings I have in complete form so far. But what I thought was kind of funny, and I bagged it and put it on the back. And this is something I know I'm not going to put in the long box. I'll put this maybe in a separate storage box. There was a CD in here to go on marvelonline.net or something for discount codes, chat, and like an early kind of Marvel kind of thing. I doubt, of course, that this still works anymore, but it kind of just reminded me of the days. Oh, and I just dropped a bunch. Great. It just kind of reminds me of the days when you'd get like AOL discs in the mail. I think you had more hours for free than would be involved in the day. I don't know. I thought that was just a little funny. I'm not forgetting books graded. If I want the books, if I want them graded, I'll pay for one already in slab. I'm kind of almost there, Neil, to be honest with you, but I'm going to do a video explaining why. Excuse me for just a second. I'm going to get the books I dropped. CGC did make an interesting call this week. I probably should have talked about this in the news section in retrospect. Allowing you to now use your credit with membership towards other services as well. I was a little pissed because they announced it, like, I think on Thursday, but the day prior they had just processed my payment for the book I have coming in the mail. I was like, well, that would have been great to use, but I digress. Next, this is one I didn't reserve. I didn't claim. Sometimes she'll throw books in for free or little things in for free, and this is kind of cool. This isn't one I would normally collect, but the cover, I have to say, is pretty cool, at least. This is Convergence, which, look, I know Convergence was a money grab. Let's call it what it was. 2 of 2 for Nightwing and Oracle. I just like this big kind of sweeping wedding picture. Just the detail from her gown going all around, I think looks really cool. Gail Simone did the writing on this. Dersema art. Yeah, I'll probably check that one out. Now, these are some books. I'll show these 3 off next that I already have, but judging by the picture she had, again, these were cheap. But it looks like the condition of these ones are actually better than the ones that I own. And these are just some Jim Lee goodness, I guess you could say, X-Men era goodness. So we have X Factor number 62. Cool cover. I always thought that pose with Havoc was a little odd on this cover. Like, yeah, I know he's making an X, but I guess the way the muscles are kind of going, it's almost like he's holding an invisible weight. Regardless, again, it was better. It's in better condition than the one I currently own, so I figure I might as well grab it. X-Men number 271. Again, Jim Lee. This is during all of these actually during the Extinction Agenda. And yeah, you have Wolverine going against Cameron Hodge. You see Psylocke there. Ninja Bikini Psylocke, I guess. And this is when they had the de-aged Storm. And again, I do own this one already. This one's a better quality, so I snagged it. Very cool cover. Cameron Hodge is one of those villains that I always thought kind of looked better than he was written to be. I don't know, never appealed to me. And then final Jim Lee and Scott Williams one is Uncanny number 272. Again, during the Extinction Agenda. Wolverine, Archangel, Cable, and I think that was Storm. Don't remember. Yeah, I mean, and these were, I think, kind of the height of the Jim Lee covers. Pre-X-Men Gold or adjectiveless X-Men, however you want to say it. Moving on. This is not a series I normally collect. Justice League America, not of America, America. And I make that distinction because I think it was actually part of Justice League and International or some kind of offshoot of it. Kind of wish Joe from Anachronics was still here to kind of clear that up. But I thought this was a cool cover, and it's a white cover. And considering that the grade, the condition looks pretty cool. Justice League, I think it's number 58. Like I said, I just like that you have Lobo plus, I think is that, I can't remember the character's name. It's not Gog, but equals, and then you see the death of the Justice League characters there. You've got Martian Manhunter. I think that's, what's her name? Fire. Flash, Guy Gardner. And then Elongated Man and Blue Beetles in the back there too. Very cool cover. This one you might be a little surprised with, but this is actually one of my favorite non-comic book characters. I'll say this, it's a Disney character. One of my favorites growing up, and I didn't know that they had a series on this, and I decided to grab it, and that is Figment number 5. If you don't know, Figment is this little purple dragon guy here. If you've been to Disney World in Florida, you know, they had a whole imagination kind of section. They were supposed to take it apart and refurbish it at one point, and I think that during COVID they kind of stopped doing that, and they have it going again. But I think they're talking about some sort of a revitalization of it at some point. But again, that's Figment number 5. Just a little kind of cool, harken back to my childhood, I guess. The next I'm going to show you is a slew of Thor covers. And none of these are in great condition, but this one I have to say out of the bunch is my favorite cover, number 394. Just really well done, really striking. Look at that closer here. And you can see, again, condition's not great. There's definitely a spine roll here. It's not considered a key book from what I understand either. But like I said, it looked interesting. I do have a little bit of Thor. I was collecting it up until the Jason Aaron run that everybody's getting now because of gore, and I kind of jumped back in afterwards. But what are you gonna do? The Mighty Thor number 403, a very cool cover. And to be honest with you, what kind of struck me about this is that it looks like Kirby art, but it's not. And again, I don't go deep with Thor. The artist, I think his name was Steve Friends, so he might be a big guy. I'm not familiar with him, but like I said, it looked really like Kirby art to the point where I actually opened it up to see if it was some sort of a reproduction, and it wasn't. And this is the same artist, Steve Friends, on number 423. Again, it's in rough shape, but the cover's cool, and it does look very kind of Kirby-esque. It definitely isn't Kirby, but it's very similar. And finally, the last of the Thor books is Thor Annual number 12. This is actually in pretty good shape. And this is, I can't remember the character's name, but the first appearance of this other guy. He's basically Thor's half-brother. He's Odin's son with a frost giant or with a giant, but seldom talked about. I don't think he was brought up again until the Ragnarok storyline where he was kind of killed. But I don't know. Like I said, it was the best shape of them. Cool looking cover, at least in my opinion. We're getting there. Every so often, you'll kind of find a gem in these dollar bin things. So here's West Coast Avengers, or Avengers West Coast, however you want to say it, number 29. And there's a couple cool things on this cover I want to point out. First of all, this is a reminder that Moon Knight was in the Avengers. I remember back in the day, one of the very first Moon Knight issues I picked up was a 90s die-cut cover of him burning an Avengers ID card. And my reaction was, Moon Knight was in the Avengers? And then it wasn't kind of really mentioned again up until, what was it called? Bendis's first run, where that at the beginning, I think, of the story, you see all of the Avengers after the white emergency signal goes out are in front of the Avengers lawn, and you see Moon Knight's among them. But props to the artist. I think it was Milgram on this. And tell you why. Number one, I love the fact that although Moon Knight is clearly fighting a Minotaur here, they avoided the byline of something like taking the bull by the horns. Okay, I love that they avoided the cheesiness of that, but this is something that I thought was really cool. Look at the door here. You've got Milgram's name and Macklin's name. Milgram and Macklin were the artist and writer, in case you didn't know, during this run. And as I say, WCA 29, West Coast Avengers 29. I thought that was just kind of a little kind of cool fourth wall thing. And it is a newsstand. There's nothing notable in this issue. You could see that it's got that, I don't know if you could really see it on the camera. But yeah, here you can see it's got kind of that delivery fold. I don't know what you call it. You know, when they delivered the books by mail, it would be folded in half. The next set of books I'm going to show you, I only have a couple after this, and then at the very end, I'm saving what I think is the best out of the haul for last in this. But these I picked up because I honestly did not know this series went on for as long as it did. That was Ghost Rider 2099. And I've got here issues number 4, 5, I'll put these down so that we don't have any other accidents. 4, 5, 6, 9, and issue 10, which is a very cool cover. I remembered Ghost Rider 2099. I have the first issue. I didn't think I had seen any other issues of the series, so I thought it was actually something that kind of ended after that. But I saw that and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it continued, and grabbed it. And I always like the design of him. He kind of does look like, I'll show you just in one of the corner arts here, especially in that last issue I showed, but he kind of looks like one of the Terminator robots to me. And given the time, it could have been maybe a little bit of a Terminator 2 influence for the design. But yeah, I was like, I'll snag these. Great. The next I thought was a really cool cover. Robin number 97. This is during the Chuck Dixon run. And what's really cool is if you look at the ninjas at the bottom here, it spells out Robin. Again, this was a $1 pickup. I thought that was just kind of a cool little detail. I like when they do stuff like that, so that's why I grabbed it. I had found myself, and this was even before George Perez passed away, picking up some Perez-era Wonder Woman. I guess it was the second volume. And I slowly am building a small kind of collection of that. 2099 is my jam. There you go, Jacob. Yeah, it was kind of curious. 2099, I loved Spider-Man 2099. I remember I stopped collecting it after, I want to say it was issue 10. I remember being a little pissed off as a teenager because one of the last issue I had picked up, you had a picture of Wolverine, not Punisher, but a couple other, I think Daredevil and one other character that didn't have a 2099 character yet. And it kind of made it look like, oh, these are going to be the introduction of these 2099-esque characters. And you read it, and it was like there was like a costume parade or something, and I was like, oh, that sucks. So I stopped picking it up at that point. But the other characters, I had picked up a first couple issues. X-Men 2099 was very slow to me. Ghost Rider only had the first issue. Ravage I had ignored completely at the time. Doom I picked up a couple issues, and I think that was really the more interesting in retrospect out of all of them. And then I remember just before they stopped, you had like X Nation and Fantastic Four 2099. But in the end, look, Spider-Man's still around. I think they're just starting to dip back into the pool now with Ghost Rider, from what I've seen. I think in that 2099 alpha that's coming out. I haven't read that. If you've read it, let me know about it. Yeah, J80, you're right. It does look like the Terminator. Again, I think that was purposeful, given the time. I also remember the Hulk 2099 looking very strange, almost like a Godzilla. So as I was saying, I picked up a couple of the Perez Wonder Woman even before he passed away, and I've continued with that. And these, again, are just some kind of cool covers. This is Wonder Woman, second volume, number 12. And I'm kind of going in as close as I can here. Just some great detail in here. You see Wonder Woman holding a gun, which I don't think I've seen her hold a gun before. And just loved a lot of the line work. Yeah, it was. I'm surprised that they all lasted that long, to be honest with you. Ravage is one I didn't even really touch, and Ghost Rider, again, I didn't even know it went past issue 1. Kind of like you go back to the, I guess around the same timeline. I know Rob Liefeld had a series of Brigade and Bloodstrike. I didn't know those went past 2 issues, and I'm finding that out now, and finding them in these not even dollar bins, like 50-cent bins. And then the other one is Wonder Woman number 18, a very kind of cool, creepy cover. This is actually the first appearance of Cersei. So maybe a little bit of spec on that. I'm not a spec guy at all, but look, they're making a 3rd film. It can't be worse than Wonder Woman 1984 was, and hopefully they don't try to prove me wrong on that. The next, this, I didn't know what it was, but it just sounded hilarious. And when I first started collecting, the one series I did collect regularly, and I was about like maybe 11 years old at the time, was the Archie era Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And of course, you had a lot of parodies come up. So this was one of it. This is Lee Mars. I'm reading it off first because it's kind of a long name. Preteen, Dirty Jean, Kung. Yeah, the K is a little weird on this. Kung Fu Kangaroos. And it's another kind of like knockoff of Ninja Turtles. I think it's a parody. And I'll just show you. See, that K was, I'm backwards here. That K was a little strange for me. That's why I kind of paused. But one thing that's unique about this, I didn't pick this up actually until I was bagging it. And maybe it might be something under the radar. Again, I'm not a spec guy at all. But there's this little thing here that there was a short but critical, quote unquote, appearance of the Ninja Turtles by Peter Laird. I don't know any other parodies where either Eastman or Laird kind of jumped in, but I thought that was kind of cool. And actually, I just picked this up while I'm looking at this now. There's a little detail in the back. The Kangaroo's wearing an In Excess t-shirt because this did come out in the 80s. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. And then the last one I have to show you from my... Oh. Sorry about that. I clicked on something by accident. The last one I have to show you from my dollar bin haul here. This is actually a key that, in my mind, I should say a key, something I've been looking at for a long time. Right before the pandemic, I bought a ticket to, if you're in my area here, in North Jersey, there's a big store in Wayne called Zap Comics. They have their own kind of Comic-Con called ZapCon. And I had been to Zap a couple times. It's not my normal LCS, but they do have some interesting stuff, some fair prices as well. Part of their ZapCon, they were going to have 2 special guests I was really looking forward to meeting and getting some stuff signed by. Tyler Kirkman was one. The other one was Dan Slott, who is one of my favorite writers. I loved his work on Spider-Man. She-Hulk, his Thing series, I think, is underrated and underspoken about. His Fantastic Four I had to jump off of. It just wasn't my thing. But this is his first work with Marvel. And this is something I was looking for at the time because I definitely wanted to have him sign it. They're doing that. That ZapCon was postponed until, it turns out, this year. I don't know if he's going to be at this one. And even if so, I might not be going there because COVID. But this is his first work with Marvel. It's Mighty Mouse number 10. And it does need a pressing. There is definitely 2 color-breaking spine ticks on this, but something like this, to be honest with you, and it is I could see a subscription fold now that I look in the light. This is something that if I did have signed, I wouldn't really submit. I would just kind of have it in my collection, at least I think. And it's supposed to be a David Letterman parody. Oh, I'm sorry, because they can't say Letterman, I guess, and he's a bull-looking guy, so they have Late Night with David Utterman. And like I said, I'm not a Mighty Mouse fan. Of course, I know who he is, but this was the first Marvel work that Dan Slott did, and that's the reason I've been looking for it. And I saw that and I was like, definitely want that. Okay, so that was my little dollar bin haul. Um, this week, I'm pretty much out of topics here. We've been speaking for almost an hour, so I think that's a good amount of time. But again, just to reiterate, if you are intending to, let's see, yeah, if you're intending to go into the put an entry in for my 100 subscriber contest, you still have time, but your time is ticking. I'll be announcing that in just a couple weeks on our live stream on July 2nd. But go ahead and get your videos in, or even if you don't make videos, go ahead and leave a comment on that 100 subscriber video. If you do, by the way, make a video, it would be helpful if you message me or tag me on IG at least so I know what to look for. And look, if you want some ideas, if you just want to see some really cool entries, go to the playlist I have set up for it. Some people have done some really great work into that. Well, with that said, I'm going to end our live stream today. Thank you, Jacob, Surfer, Neil, Main Street, J80. I'm going through, so make sure I don't miss anybody. Joe, who's not here anymore. J80, I said that already. Brian, of course. A Surfer, all the way from Hawaii. You know what? My wife has been wanting to go to Hawaii. I could always say to her, once we're traveling again, oh, we'll go and I'll meet up with Surfer. Just have to pick the right island, I guess. But thanks again for checking in, guys, and for tuning in. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go out there. Here in North Jersey, it's supposed to rain, but hopefully get a little bit of outside time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.